Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nidus Anarchy series. I'm your host Adam, the CIO of Nidus. This is Ian. He is in charge of all of our digital media content here at Nidus, so hats off to Ian. Yay.
Along with Harold
and Harold. Harold's our awesome video editor. He murders it. Makes all of our stuff look so awesome. So big thanks to Harold. What I want to talk to you about today is the MGM hack that was just announced. So MGM, if you don't know, familiar, well, MGM's casinos, hotels, whole conglomerate, right? So someone has just hacked the crap out of MGM. And it looks like a typical ransomware type of attack. They've shut down almost all their websites, bookings, people trying to check in, casinos, the slot machines are offline. Like you can't even get the tickets for slots. Like everything is just down.
And they evacuated the building, I believe.
Oh, they did?
I think so. I think that's what I saw.
Well, I mean, if you're not making money and you don't know who's doing the attack, that's kind of like 101, right? It's like if you're being compromised, evacuate, because you don't know if that person's actually inside your facility providing the attack. Yeah. So that would make total sense, actually. So I didn't even know that they were doing that. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, so it looks like all their stuff is down. You'll see all the headlines with like $13 billion. Well, they're a $13 billion company. They're not losing $13 billion, but they're definitely losing a ton of money for every second they're down. Because think about it, people that have just showed up for a convention, they can't check into their rooms. People that want to gamble, well, they can't. People that want to book rooms for future events, they can't do that either. So they're losing so much money. And even more so, which when you talk about companies this large, reputation. Reputation is huge in the enterprise. Because if your reputation is jacked, think about it. Like if you're going to go out just because of this, right? Let's say you're going out to Vegas next week. Are you going to book through MGM? Let's say you could. Let's say it's back online. Would you book an MGM hotel or would you book a non-MGM hotel with what just happened?
Yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice, but I wonder if because of that, they're going to have some great deals, some discounts to make up for it. I could see that happening.
Yeah, they probably will. But that's the thing. You have that instant doubt. You're kind of like, I don't know. Because what if I get there and it's screwed up again? Or what if I'm playing on the slot machines and I lose my money or something? Because realistically...
Which you usually do.
Yeah, well, yeah. You're guaranteed to lose it.
Yeah.
Or was a virus installed. So this is the problem, is like you have a ton of people that don't know anything about computers. They're going to come up with crazy stories. And I bet we're going to see some awesome conspiracy fodder across Twitter. Where people are just going to be saying like, oh, well, but there's a virus in the slot machines and they're stealing a half a cent every time someone's doing it, or they got everyone's credit card numbers. Well, first off, we don't know what the actual compromise is. We don't know if they have people's credit card numbers. We don't know if they got into the actual, like, the gaming software itself, or if they just DDoSed it, right? Because my fear is, or not my fear, my feeling is that they've kind of DDoSed the system to where they've locked everything out, but they didn't actually compromise the actual software that's running these slot machines. If they actually got into the software, it's over.
I would imagine, by the way, in an entire casino, there's got to be someone who at that very moment had a big win, and then the slot machine turned off.
Well, that's one of the articles was saying that it prevented the tickets being spit out.
Yeah.
Let's say that, hey, you've won $10,000.
That's what I mean. At that very moment.
Oh, yeah.
Someone probably hit it.
Especially slot machine addicts, right? Because they just sit there, even though they win, there's like, keep playing, keep pulling the thing, right? And
Harold could probably find the videos of, they're like drones,
And that's kind of things that I think kind of sucks about Vegas now, is like, I loved it when, you had to pull the arm and it was the coins, and you hear the coins come in, like when you win, you get that whole dopamine release and you're all excited. And now it's just a ticket. It's like, hey, I won. It's like, here's your ticket. Whether you lost everything and here's the 3 cents you have left, or you just won 15 grand, it's still just a ticket that gets printed out. It's not nearly as exciting anymore, I don't feel like.
Which, before we recorded, led to a conversation of when is everything going to be digital, because you do, for the most part, you were saying there's exceptions to this, but for the most part, you take that ticket to a window and you get U.S. currency. You get dollar bills. When is that going to be all digital?
So your question is, when am I going to get paid in a digital currency, or when is it going to be just like, I don't even do anything, it just shows up in my bank account?
Well, from what I think you were saying, that is possible to happen now, but the future will be digital currency.
Definitely possible now, because when you're gambling currently, you can be at a blackjack table and say, hey, I want to take out 10 grand, and you can have it already set up with the pit boss and everything at the casino where your account is already linked. So you just say, hey, like, you sign a form saying basically you're approving a withdrawal of 10 grand or whatever you're taking the credit out on, and then they'll run it through the bank, and they get the okay once it's cleared, the ACH or whatever, and they'll boop, here's your money.
Although the majority of people are not doing it.
No, this is like gamblers.
Yeah.
Like gamblers, you know what I mean? Where they're not. You'd also they don't want to walk around with 10 grand in their pocket for whatever reason. I mean, Vegas is a sketchy city, and Vegas isn't the only casino place, right? Like MGM, they have casinos everywhere. You got Atlantic City and Detroit. I would not want to walk around with 10 grand cash in Detroit.
Sure.
On my persons, I'd be like, no, we'll just wire it once I get there. I'll set it up. They might charge me a fee, but you're paying. Even when you go to the ATMs in the casinos, it's like $4, $5, $6. Sometimes I've seen it's like $10 ATM fees.
I'll tell you this, I would not want to walk around with that at Atlantic City, because I have literally been to Atlantic City as I'm throwing money into a slot machine, and a homeless person will come up to me and be like, hey, do you have any money? Because Atlantic City is not a good area. Just throwing it out there. I mean, people say that about Vegas, off the Strip.
Yeah.
Atlantic City, if you've been there, a lot of homeless people on the boardwalk. And it puts you in an uncomfortable situation when a homeless person is asking you for money as you're throwing away your money into a slot machine.
I don't get no spare money. $100. Cha-ching! I lost it. Sucks. You want a sandwich? Yeah, that's probably not a good idea, right?
Yep.
So I guess the converse of that situation is when you're done, you're cashing out your chips, or you got your ticket from a slot machine that works, and you go to the bank and you're saying, hey, I want my money. Instead of giving you the cash, you're saying just wire it to my account.
Yeah.
Right. So then I don't have to carry anything around. I would honestly be surprised if that's not even an option. I'd be curious to see if that exists, because they already have the ability to connect to your bank account. So why not send a wire, especially if it's a large amount? But I've seen videos of people taking like $1 million and loading it into a suitcase at the bank because they won some crazy sports bet or something like that, and walking out the casino with it. So it's like, I don't know, but I think the biggest reason why people don't want to do it is most people that are gambling, and a lot of people are using those casinos, and Vegas was built in Vegas for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because they're trying to skirt tax laws like crazy. Like, they don't want that cash to be counted anywhere.
That's true. And then also, I was just even thinking, if this is the future, the amount of job loss. How many people in Vegas work as like a teller at a casino? Just like how many bank tellers were there in the 90s compared to now? They're going to be basically obsolete if everything goes digital.
Yeah. Well, here's what will happen, right? I think you will have, like, the service jobs will decrease, but then the technical support jobs will increase. So I think you'll probably have a net even amount of jobs, maybe even more so. But yes, the job types will definitely decrease, because just like, I mean, everyone loves blackjack. It's one of the most famous games in any casino. But now there's video blackjack everywhere. The slot machines are no longer mechanical; they're all digital, right? So you don't have the mechanics that fix the machines anymore. Now you have the IT guys, and I'm pretty sure those mechanics didn't learn all that IT stuff. They probably just said, you know what, screw it, I'm retiring, I'm out.
Yeah.
And then the new guys came in and learned all the IT stuff.
So I was going to ask you this as a professional in this environment. If you were purely speculating here, if you had to guess, what was the mission of this hacker? Were they trying to drain the bank accounts?
Ransomware.
Yeah.
I think that they've locked everything down, and I think MGM has a note that says, hey, send us 100 Bitcoin to this address, and we'll give you the keys to unlock your stuff. Otherwise, we're going to erase everything that we have locked. Like that kind of a message. That's what I bet they have.
And you were Googling like some articles before you went on. As far as you know, is everything back up and running?
No, I don't think it is.
Wow.
I think it's still down. I went to MGM's Twitter page, and it was still, their thing was still saying, hey, we're down. Some of our systems are down. We're currently working on fixing this. Stay tuned, type of deal. But no, I don't think it's fixed yet. And that's crazy. But ransomware is nuts, because literally, if they have access to your system, especially if they have root level access, admin level, if they have that level of access to the system and they lock it to where you can't get it, you have two options. One is to flash it from, like, let's say you had a backup from yesterday, and like if it's a computer or your laptop gets ransomware, and it's like, oh, it's locked, what do I do? Well, you could flash it if you had a backup from yesterday, and you only lose up to today of data. Most people don't do daily backups, hourly backups, but from an enterprise standpoint, they do, right? So therefore, it's not that big of a deal. But what this problem is, like, their computers, yeah, they may be able to roll back like the reservation machines and all that kind of stuff. They might be able to fix that. But if they have access to the slot machines, it's like, I don't think they're doing daily, hourly backups of all the slot machines. I mean, who knows? Maybe they are. It is a pretty critical system. But yeah, it's really going to be interesting to see what the purpose of this really was. But I bet it's ransomware. I bet they've locked them out, they've frozen them out, and there's a message on there that says, hey, if you want your stuff back, you better pay us a shit ton of money. I mean, we just saw an email the other day. Our CEO got one, and a couple other guys, all the same email, saying, hey, we've hacked your computer. You know, we found all that secret porn that you have. We have all these, you know, damning videos of you. We're going to release them online, and we're going to tell the whole world. And it makes it sound very personal. You're like, oh my God, they really do have this stuff the way it sounds. And they're like, if you need to send us $500 in Bitcoin to this address, otherwise, you know, we're going to release all this stuff in 24 hours. It wasn't even ransomware. It was literally just an email, right? And I was curious. I was like, hey, dude, send me that email. So he sent it over to me, and I checked because the address on there. Well, the addresses are public. So when that email, whatever that he sent out, he's already made $5,000 off that thing, and that's just that one wallet address. And I'm pretty sure that's
you were able to see his crypto wallet.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So you can see how much people have already paid in ransom, and it's all $500 chunks.
Wow.
So yeah, they got 10 people already, or I think it was like 8 or 9 people already. But that's just that one wallet address, and I'm pretty sure they probably sent out tens of hundreds of thousands of emails just blindly to everybody. But probably a bunch of different Bitcoin.
I'm quitting my job with that. And this is what I'm going to be doing.
And that's the thing. It's literally just an email. So if you can get your hands on a email list of like 1 million people, especially people that are technically savvy,
yeah,
right? And then you just blast, you have a really well-formed email, and you have a Bitcoin address. The thing is, you know, a lot of people think crypto is anonymous. So if you're like, oh, I got my Bitcoin, it's on this random Bitcoin address, no one will ever know it's me. There's companies out there where all they do is track and trace funds between crypto wallets, and a lot of times they can get that down to who it is. And really, it always comes down to how the money got in and the money got out, right? So for these guys, tracking the money in ain't going to make a difference because all the people they ransomed. But for the tracking out, if they ever want to convert that Bitcoin into cash somewhere, it's got to go to an exchange. And at that point in time, there's a person or there's somewhere to kind of catch them. And that's where a lot of times these guys mess up, and that's how they wind up getting busted. But yeah, but for this MGM thing, I don't know. This is going to be crazy to see what the end result of this is and why was it. It would be a bummer if it was literally just, you know, somehow internally they messed something up. And it's possible too, because you got to remember, it's not like, one thing that I think a lot of the public doesn't understand is it's not like some attacker went out and hacked all these machines. And because they hacked all these machines, they've locked them all up. Realistically, what they did is they probably attacked one service that all these machines use, right? So like, let's say they have a single sign-on system, a single method of authentication. Just when the server boots up, it goes to the server to say, hey, I want to make sure I'm legit, and it comes back with a yes response, and then it allows it to turn on and do everything. Well, if you hack that one system and just say, hey, no one's allowed to authenticate, well, then all these systems can't authenticate, and they don't know where to go else otherwise, you know, to validate themselves, then they're just off. So instead of it being a ransomware attack, which it still could be, it could just be a DDoS, a distributed denial of service. Well, actually, it wouldn't even be distributed. It would just be a single system. It would just be a denial of service attack. So just by attacking this one centralized point, all of a sudden, all the machines go completely MIA, you know, instantly. And this is actually, when it comes to identity management, with like what we do on a day-to-day basis, this is really something I've been talking about and stressing to CIOs, CISOs, CEOs from the beginning of the identity management term back in, when I first started, it was like 2003, something like that, I think something. And it was my first realization. It's like I'm installing this system where it's like, okay, all the user's information comes in from HR and all these other systems into the identity management system. And then from there, it provisions them out. It creates your AD account. It creates your email system. It creates you this. It provisions you a laptop to be sent to you or whatever. Well, in there are all the passwords for all these systems, right? And so that you could have single sign-on for all these authentication systems. Well, if an attacker gets access to that system, that identity management system, it's over. They have every password for every user. Even though they're like, oh, well, they're hashed. Well, most of the time they're recorded in a two-way hash. So what that means is a one-way hash means I take a clear text password, like my password is super long and secret, and it encrypts it. But in a one-way hash, it encrypts it to a way you can never decrypt it back to the original password. So what you're doing is when you log in, you put in your password. I run it through that same algorithm. And then if those two hashes match, I know you've provided me the right password. Now, a two-way hash means I can encrypt it into this crazy complex string that you can't tell what it is, but with another algorithm, I can reverse it and go back to that clear text again. So identity management systems, especially from the authentication standpoint, most of the time record they record two-way hashes, and that encryption algorithm is very much a secret to the vendors, because obviously if everyone knew that, it'd be bad. So therefore, their stance is, well, if someone breaches the identity management system and they're not going to see clear text passwords, they're just going to gibberish. You know, they're not going to know what it is, and they don't have the algorithm or the key to decrypt it. That's true. But you could always just spin up a fake application and provision every user to that fake application, and that fake application just reads all the passwords as the accounts are created. So there's always a way around it. And that's why you could have a single point where if you took that down, like if you took that authentication system down, or you just said screw it and you wanted to be malicious and you just wiped out everyone's passwords, all of a sudden no one can log in. And then you provided a denial of service attack. So if you did that to MGM's main servers where they had a centralized repository of identities and you wiped it all out or locked it to where it didn't work anymore and they didn't have a backup, or you wiped out the backup somehow too to make sure that you really got them locked in, they're screwed.
Yeah.
And then you could be in this situation just where we are right now.
It's crazy. Wouldn't want to be there.
No. So that's it. Just want to get a little talk. If you guys have any information about the MGM attack and you want to tell me even privately, I'd love to know more about what's going on. Hit me up, adam@nidus.com, or on Twitter if you've got some cool information or just links of stuff that's already being published at NidusIAM, NYEDISIAM. See you guys around. Later.